Good afternoon, Year 3. It's me, Mr. Knight, and today we're going to be doing our topic lesson. But first things first, I want you to roll your sleeves up, like me, so we don't make any mess, because we're going to get a little bit messy maybe today, using glue, using felt, cutting bits and pieces out. So I want you to roll your sleeves up nice and tidy. Once you've done that, we're going to start with our topic. And we've been doing recently mythology, and we've been looking at the gods and different stories and relating them to the Olympics. And today we're going to be making Greek finger puppets. So here I've made some already. I've got Zeus, I've got Poseidon, and I've got Ares, god of war. But this could be a soldier of any kind, really. And that's what we're going to be doing in today's lesson. Now, you've all got a piece of paper in front of you. And the first step is to take the piece of paper and fold it in half. And I want you to score down the lines to make sure you've got a nice thick fold. And once you've done that, I want you to get a pen, and using the side that you've folded down, I want you to simply just draw around your finger. So there we go. And this is the side with the fold on, so I can open it up. Okay. Once you've done that, I want you to draw a gingerbread man shape, because finger puppets are generally a gingerbread man shape. And don't worry if one side is bigger than the other, because you'll choose the side that you prefer the best. So here's one I did earlier. And as you see, they're not exactly equal both sides, but what you do next is if you fold down the middle, making sure that your lines match up at the bottom, and then simply cut around the side you prefer. So I prefer this side to that side because he's got a better arm on this side. So I'll use this side and I'll cut out that to make my template. So here's one I made earlier. This is the template I used for the puppets you saw a moment ago. And ta-da! I've already cut it out. Okay. Now, your puppets, you can make them any colour you want. But the ones I've made, I've done them in some kind of flesh colour. So I've chosen a felt, which is that sort of colour. And you put your puppet template onto the felt like this. Now you've got to be really careful when you cut around it, because this is the actual outline and shape of your puppet. What you'll end up having though is you'll end up having two templates because you folded your paper. So you'll actually use both templates, so you can do a front and a back to your puppet. Now once you've cut out both sides, and to make it simple for the video, I've done both sides different colours. Once you've done this, you need to make sure that your finger fits inside, and then myself or Miss Latif or one of the other helpers will come round and we'll glue around the outside. I've actually sewn mine together like you'll see when I pass them round. But for today's lesson we're going to glue around the outside, and we've got some special glue to do that with. Okay, so once you've got your puppet made and you've got the actual shape, you're going to want a face on him. Now, all I did on mine is I put some googly eyes, and I would suggest you probably do the same, because in your performances, in the scripts that you wrote earlier, there might be some scenes where your character is happy, some where your character's sad, some where he's excited. So you might have all sorts of different emotions in your scripts. So if you've got a big smiley face on your puppet, he's going to look happy even though he might be sad, he might be angry, he might be in love. Anything could happen in your scripts. So I'd probably leave him without a face, without a smile or a frown, without a mouth. Once you've glued those on, again with the special glue, your finger puppet's going to want some clothes. And like you made a template to cut out your puppet, I would suggest you make a template for anything you put onto the puppet. So I've already made a template for a toga, which is like a sort of Greek Roman-esque kind of clothing. And once I've cut that out of paper, I'm going to make sure that it actually fits onto my puppet, and that seems to fit fine. So once I've done that, I can go and choose a colour fabric to make my toga out of. And I think for this I'm going to choose a nice bright yellow. So again, if you put your template on the edge, and like with your puppet, if you're very careful cutting around the outside to make it, because again, if you go off the lines a little bit, it's going to look a bit iffy. So if you're very, very careful and stick to the lines on the outline of your template. Once again, I've already made the toga, and that should fit in because I've followed the lines. And there we go, my template was perfect. So now you've got a dressed puppet like this one. You might decide really you're going to want some hair on him. You might decide that he looks okay like that, but you might want some hair, or you might want a hat. Now, I've made quite a few hats, and once again I made a template for this hat. So this puppet I was making was Hermes, the messenger of the gods. So I made a template of a hat, and I cut that out of fabric again. So, and here is the hat. And just to make sure that my template works, let's try it on. And there we go, Hermes, messenger of the gods, with his flying wings on his helmet. And you may not want to make helmets and hats, you may actually want to make hair. So here I've got a hair piece I made earlier, a bit like a wig. So that one can go on a female. And here I've made another one where I've actually used wool for hair. So you might want to do either of those on your puppets. Now finally, you're going to want to decorate your puppets a little bit further. So the puppets I showed you earlier, I've got Ares, which is the god of war, but I've given him a shield to signify that. I've also given him a soldier's helmet, but the shield there is like a prop that I've put on, and that's glued onto the front of his toga. I've also got Poseidon, and I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but you might be able to see when I pass it around. I've actually sewn a trident onto his toga with stitching. Now we're not using needle and thread today, but you can actually draw anything you want onto them. So if we get the felt tips out, you'll be able to draw on any patterns and designs. And finally with Zeus, I actually cut out a lightning strip out of the bright yellow fabric that I showed you earlier that I made the toga out of. And I cut that out, and that's glued on. Okay, and once you've done that and left them to dry, you can make another one if you've got time. Eventually you'll have a whole family of puppets, so you'll be able to do a really nice performance and a really nice play, which we'll film in the next ICT lesson. Okay, good luck making your puppets, and I'll be available for any questions during the lesson. Bye!